Hello guys, this is Michael from the Board Games Chronicle. Today I would like to create a special material, not like the ones I did before. It will be about the Multiman Publishing sale and what great goodies I actually got from the sale. So we'll tell you about the sale, tell you about the games, tell you about also some series the games represent, so you can see much more about them, and also we look into the boxes for the components. So MMP quite regularly does the sales with a good, very good, and very, very good discounts. Some of those games here had discounts over 50%, and I was eyeing for them for some time. This is usually in November, October, more or less. This is a yearly sale, and you can always get some very, very good titles. I decided this year that, yeah, it's a great chance to familiarize myself more with MMP games. So far, I was more aware of course, Advanced Squad Leader game and other stuff like this. But I wanted to also touch about some classics, the interesting series which can even newbies can play, and also much more detailed series where you have all aspects of the war game reflected. So guys, we'll be looking at Angola. This is a classic from, I think, 1988 as far as this. And this is a unique game which we'll be discussing for the 4 players. We'll be discussing the standard series games from MMP, the series which is pretty good for every player and also for the people who just start with the games. So standard combat series here, the Day of Days and the Hates of Courage. Then we'll have also the Korea, which represents operational combat series, probably the most detailed modeling of the modern warfare or operational combat series, or OCS. And then we also look at the battalion level with the Panzers last stand. So as you can see, this will be Second World War, Budapest and Normandy landings. It will be Korean War. It will be Golan Heights, but also the war in Angola Civil War. So I will now jump to each and every particular game in kind of a short unboxing and also discussion about what the game is about. One more addition, because I think I did such a large acquisition of games. I also get the bonus one. Yeah, Warriors of Japan. A small game, yeah, a mini game, a Ziploc game, but I'm also curious to check it. So guys, without, let's say, losing any more time, we now move to Angola. We look now at Angola. As said before, it's already a classic. It was published in 1988. And this game tells us the story of a pretty brave but very violent Angola Civil War. Actually, the focus of the game will be limited, but the true situation in Angola was unstable for many years later on. The main focus is on 1975-1976 Civil War, and as you could guess, these were the years when the Cold War was in a full swing. So here we would have a sides which are supported by US and the sides which are supported by Soviets. This is an interesting 4-player game, and it's kind of a play in a teams. So 2 players rather support what US would like to do, and 2 rather what Soviets have in mind. There are a lot of interesting mechanics, and a lot of my fellow bloggers like Players8 and also other guys were playing this and really suggesting to have a look. So that was also my plan and the first position which I deemed as a must-have from the sale. Let's have a look into the box. First thing, which is always in MMP games, you have clearly stated what should be inside, and if you have any problems who and how contact. I really love it and I really appreciate it. This is kind of a personal touch for all of us wargamers. For spending not a few dollars, but many more on those games. So I really appreciate such approach. Then what do we have? We have dice, and if you play the MMP games, you will see that the dice are usually similar, small, nice, easy to roll, very cool. Then we have cards. We should have around, let me see, does it say how many cards? No, it should be probably in the rule book. The cards will be activating the factions, and there will be planning phase, if I remember. I read about it a little, and after that will be execution. As you can see, there are different colors: blue, green, yellow, red, orange. Okay, I would need to read the instruction to understand what is it, but I can tell you that I really nicely printed. Yep. Evidently, the faction which is connected to the USSR, and that also seems so. The green ones looks like pretty, maybe not neutral, but not socialistic. Okay, and here we have a 4 faction. It's really cool mechanic. I didn't have time to read a lot about it. I just had a chance to read a little. So we'll need to check how exactly it plays. Then we have the rule book, nicely done. This is not a glossy one. I like it because when you read it, you don't have the reflections. Yeah, it will be explaining the rules. Yeah, the 4 factions are green, blue, red, and yellow. So we need to understand what are those cards. It actually says reinforcement cards determine the contribution of covered force for an area. Okay, so these are the reinforcements, and this would be the faction cards. Good. These are not a very dense rules. One get used to the rule books after many years of wargaming, and it's in total like 23 pages with some reference here. So yeah, pretty manageable. Then we have a map, and I can tell you I like this map. I never seen such a nice color palette. This is really cool. There are areas. Here is actually the legend. Road, city. This would be the sea. Clear. Okay, jungle. Good. This is not a mounted map, so you maybe need a plexi to put over, but it's really nice from the color perspective. It would be cool to play on. And of course we have counters. We have counters from the green faction. Sorry, I don't know the names yet of those functions, so excuse me for this. Here we have some additional tokens. Yep. Here, this would be the player aid for each of the factions. Blue, red, that is pink, yellow, and green. Yep. And then we have the rest of the units. So UNITA faction, FAPLA faction, MPLA faction, and FNLA. Sorry, guys, don't know the names yet, so would need to check. And you see, this is the game from 1988, and this is beautiful. This is really, truly beautiful. It's not aged much. There is a limited number of counters, so really should be pretty nice to play. Okay, this would be probably the first title which I will bring to the table. That was the plan. Some of the guys say I know this is pretty far-fetched connection, but this is kind of a coin, let's say, grandfather. We shall see. I will definitely sit down to this with my colleagues and check how it plays. Can't wait to play it. And we also need to do some nice storage solution for this to be able to keep everything. So this was Angola, one of the MMP classics, one of the also best valued and rated games of MMP. Hopefully to play it pretty soon. And this was my first part of the first choice when I was doing the set. So that's all for Angola. Let's jump to another title. Before I go to the actual next title, I should probably tell you a little more about the series where we have this game from. The game will be Heights of Courage, about the Golan fight here in 1973. This is a standard combat series. Standard combat series is probably the easiest one to learn from all the combat series of MMP. It has definitely the lowest number of counters. Also very straightforward and easy rules, especially in comparison to operational or battalion combat series. So when you would like to start with the MMP games, I really suggest go with the standard combat series. This is really good beginning. Now, regarding Heights of Courage, this tells the story of 1973 war between Israeli and Arab countries, but only about the Golan Heights. And as you know, those heights were occupied by the Israeli after previous war. And now in this war, 1973, the Israeli were suddenly attacked by the coalition of Jordan, Egypt, and Syria. According to historical data, we know that they were aware, but they didn't want to preempt the strike, not to lose the diplomatic backing. The game is interesting in that way. It will have a couple of scenarios, but at the beginning, these are the Syrians who are attacking, and the Israeli has to survive. But then it's the other way around. When the Israeli will manage to scramble the forces, they will be on the attacking side. So very interesting game. And in order to evaluate who won, we will be comparing where the farthest the Syrians were during their attack and where the Israelis managed to go. Very interesting design. Let us see what's in the box. This is a very small box. This is pretty compact game, which is also good. I was showing this to you previously, but again, here we have the personal touch of MMP games. I would call it that way. So what should we have inside, and contact if something is missing. Then we have a dice, and there are two for this. And as in every combat series of MMP, when you have a game, you would have two rule books. One rule book, which is precisely connected to the game, and the other rule book, which is connected to the series. So as you can see, this is the rule book for standard combat series. And here we have special rules and also scenarios for the Heights of Golan. Just watch how many rules do we have here. Around 8 pages, really, 8 pages. Remember, this is definitely the best intro series from MMP. Really strongly encouraged. Here we have some additional pages of rules for the Golan Heights. Not too many, guys. See, there are pictures here. A lot of space is occupied by this. And then we'll have also the scenarios. Yeah, there will be like 4 scenarios, if I'm not mistaken, from the 6th turn up to, let me check on the, Yeah, there will be 4 scenarios from 6 to 17 turns long, so you can really play some of them in a pretty short, decent amount of time. Not too many rules, very compact, very quick to start. When we have a tokens, careful, only one counter sheet, both Syrians and Israeli. Of course, here are the Syrians and here are the Israeli. Exactly, with some additional counters needed for the series. And when we have a map, one map, no need to combine couple of maps. This is also cool. Let me just show it to you. Hope you'll be able to see it. So this is Syria, House of Courage. Yeah, this is Jordan. This is Israel. This is Lebanon. Here we have, yeah, also the mountains. So pretty compact map too. You don't have hex numbers everywhere. You can quickly calculate them, which I also like on MMP maps because there is much less clutter on the map. So I would say a pretty solid map. You can also say that this is a minimalistic map. Yeah, not too much color, just what is needed. And here, for example, you have green line 1949 boundary. Yeah, so you can also compare where are the Israelis and where the boundary was, how was it changing. And that's all in the box. That's all. You can really play this game pretty quickly. You can prepare to play this game pretty quickly. Not too many rules, one map, one counter sheet. Really strongly recommend if you would like to start with standard combat series. But this is the way to play standard combat series, just as a starting point for MMP. Okay. Okay. Time to move to the next state. Let's talk now about Day of Days. So the invasion of Normandy 1944. Who of you have not played Normandy invasion? I don't think there is any of you, dear subscribers, dear watchers, who didn't play it. Yes, we all played the Normandy landings in various formats, operational, strategic, tactical. Here we have a pretty, let's say, low-level game with an easy set of rules. Again, we are in the standard combat series, so the rules will not be overly difficult. However, the level of the game, it is on the company level, is pretty low. So there will be some number of counters, of course, they will be, but the move of them will be pretty easy. In this game, we reenact first 10 days of D-Day landings. So actually, those critical 10 days when a foothold has to be created, the beaches has to be gained, and you need to move from the beaches. There is also a possibility for the German counterattack. So this is important. The game is, as the publisher says, massive in scale, but pretty playable by usage of this standard series rules. Let's see what's inside, and we'll have a lot of goodies inside. You can see in a moment. A die, a personal touch note, as always. Okay, first of all, rulebook. As in every game which is in the series, and Day of Days is also there, we have first of all the series rulebook. Again, 8 pages for the standard combat series, and then we have the rules and scenarios for the Day of Days. You might be surprised seeing 52, but guys, it's a lot of scenario setups, and the actual rules are 8 pages. So in total, 8 pages of the standard rules plus 8 pages of the rules for the Day of Days. Not too much, really, not too much. It will take you probably a little more to set up the game than actually read the rules. In order to be quicker with the setup of the game, you have a pretty nice and informative setups helps. So Germans at start setup. Then you would have also the Allies setup, Allied Organization Chart 1, exactly. You can see the Americans, the British, the Airborne. You have then the second chart for the Allies, exactly. Follow up. Here, reinforcements, and per you can put them per beach. And German reinforcements. If you set it up at the beginning, it is much easier to play it later. By the way, I would like to draw your attention to this. This is all the maps which we'll be using. I believe we have like 4 maps. 1, 2, 3, 4. However, you don't have to play the whole scenario. You have possibility to play a smaller scenarios, like 1 map, 2 map. Important for playability and also for possibility to learn the system. When you have counters, yeah, don't be daunted. There will be some of them. First ray, these are mainly British. And then we have British, some paratroopers. I would need to check which would be those. Then we have evidently Americans, more Americans, and some airborne. Remember, this is a company level. Now we have some miscellaneous counters, and we start with the German fortifications. Here we would have more German fortifications and already some divisions. Here we have even more German divisions and also artillery units and other stuff like this. Then we have the famous SS divisions, which were late to react, if you remember correctly. So how many counters do we? How many sheets of counters do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think some decent storage solution, you can count on me, will be needed for this game, definitely. And now we have one more die. Sorry, it is here. It escaped us. Yeah, we have it. Now the maps. There should be like 4 maps, I believe. Map A, map B, map C and D. There is no way I can show you all the maps connected on this camera, and zooming out would be pretty problematic. I'm just wondering how I will fit on my table. So as you can see, this is the map. Here are the landings on the Utah beach. Here is the current town. Here we would have some of the paratroopers, I'm sure. Wow, I like the scale. I can tell you I played a lot of D-Day landings game on the strategic scale, but never on company scale. And this is exactly why I wanted to get this game. Company level game about D-Day landings, a lot of tokens, but the rules, which are pretty short. Here we have Omaha, bloody Omaha, exactly. And we have very deep into the map. St. Lo, a lot of victory points here. Wow, it looks simply gorgeous. Can you imagine how much it would take to counter clip all of those tokens? That would be challenge too. Then we have a third map, which should already touch the British sector. Yeah, the gold. And then we would have further. Beautiful. Simply beautiful. And the last D map would be Juno. Exactly. And some additional legend for the game. Here we have the legend for the game. Here we have I believe Pegasus Bridge. Yep, okay. And here Khan with all the victory points you can get from them. Beautiful. As I told you, I would probably not be able to play this game in operational combat series, but in standard combat series, that still should be fun, and that still should be doable and playable, definitely. So let me pack it back. Okay, nice and shiny. These were day of days. A company level standard combat series game from MMP, which I hope to bring to the table gradually. Definitely scenario by scenario, starting with the smaller scenarios, starting with British landings, then maybe the US landings, and only playing the whole once I play the smaller one. Okay, time to jump to the next title. Then there will be dragons. Okay, we are moving to the operational combat series, guys. The games in this series are pretty detailed simulations of modern warfare. It simulates campaigns on pretty low level from 1919 still around mid 1950s. This is where it spans. It allows for a really sophisticated study. I'm quoting the publisher. Sophisticated study is a good word here, of historical events, and it maintains really relative mechanical simplicity. What is important, every area of modern combat is also modeled here. I was slightly afraid of getting any of the games within this series or CS, but then I started to read reviews, and it seems that Korea is one of them, which is really nice, playable, with tons of scenarios. I think it's like 15 scenarios, which can be very short, but can be also very long. So I definitely thought, okay, this is a good starting point. Let us try to learn the system. What the game is about? It's of course about the Korean War. Actually, this is the first year of Korean War, and this touches only the fighting which was taking place then. So let us have a look. What do we get in the box? Korea, the Forgotten War. It should not be forgotten. This was the closest to the actual mutual annihilation, like even missile crisis. So I think we should all learn about it. It was also the only actual fight between the superpowers, because the China and US was fighting here. We are getting two dice as always. We are getting this courtesy note, really nice. And again, I will probably repeat myself over and over. We are getting two rule books, one for the series and the other for the game. And now you will see the difference between standard combat series and operational combat series, because here we are getting like 40 pages of the rules for the system. Of course, there are scenarios also here. Sorry, I messed up. This is, of course, the rule book for the system, which is 48 pages. Fine, I was not far away. So here we have the rules for the system, pretty comprehensive, and with some, let's say, glossary and with some index. So it's actually 40. So I was right. 40 pages. Now for the Korea, there will be a lot of scenario setup. So the rules are like 8 pages more. Yeah. So 8 more pages for this. Do we have all the scenarios described here? I'm just looking for some table of contents of the scenarios. I don't see them. Yeah, here we have. So as you can see, we have like 15 scenarios. That's huge. That's a huge amount. And there are smaller scenarios, larger. At each scenario, you have also the information. I think No, not here. You would have in the next game, from what I remember. Yeah, but I have descriptions how many units you need to use. So this is very good. I really like that we are not getting one huge big game map. No, this is 15 scenarios, and some of them can be used with one, some with two, and some with three maps. Actually, when I'm looking at the description on the publisher page, there are five one-map scenarios, 4 two-map scenarios, and 6 three-map scenarios. So pretty decent. There will be some rulebook to be read. Now we have some reference sheets exactly for both players. We have operational combat series charts and tables. So while this is more Korea related, yeah, this would be specific for operational combat series. All this stuff here. I like it how it's produced. Yeah. And then the tokens. How many tokens we would have? Quite a few. First of all, these are the tokens for OCS markers. So these are for the series markers, and usually you can use also in different games and various other games in the series. So those tokens will be reusable. And the actual token used in the games will be here. So this looks like both North Korean forces and Chinese forces. Here we would have American forces, of course, and South Korean forces, and that's all. So not too many tokens, as you can see. 2 counter trays of the actual tokens for Korea, and 2 counter trays for the tokens for the system. So pretty reasonable number. And then we have the maps, and we have, if I remember correctly, 3 maps: A, B, C, and of course I will not be able to show you the full maps due to the size of them. Let me start with the map A. Map A is the North Korea part, and with a border to China, and with the mountains here. Then the map B will be starting over there, continuing with Korea, and this would be some of the most interesting parts, because here we have Seoul, and I believe those 5 scenarios which are one map would be here. So this is the North Korea, Pyongyang, and here has Seoul, and here is the demarcation line, if I'm not mistaken. Exactly. And then we have, of course, the southern part of the Korea, because as you might remember, the Southern Korean forces were pushed pretty far away south during this war. Yeah, it is south. And you combine all of these 3 maps together for the larger scenarios. Here you have some tracks used during the game. So it will be taking some space, and when I put it here, it should fit my table closely, but it should be possible for me to play. I'm still glad that we have those 5 scenarios, one map, and also another couple of scenarios, 2 maps, so should be possible. I think this would be good entry in optional combat series. Really can't wait to also bring this to the table. I'm not daunted by the number of rules. It's standard for us wargamers, I think, these days. Okay, so this would be everything for Korean War, the Forgotten War. I think it's time to jump now to my last 5th acquisition on the Multiman Publishing sale. Now, guys, we jump to Panzers Last Stand, and this will be again another series. This will be Battalion Combat Series, one of the newest series from MMP. What is it, this Battalion Combat Series? It originated from operational combat series. But what happened? The OCS was brought down to a battalion level. So we will be fighting, of course, on battalion level. It revised the OCS system, and it's slightly different than OCS when it actually evolved into a separate system. And it specifically looks at the combat where maneuver elements are really, really important, and not OCS with smaller units. No, this is not. It's slightly less complex than OCS. It's definitely more complex than standard combat series. So it's somewhere in the middle between both. Why I have chosen exactly this title? That's mainly due to the topic it tells. I'm not sure if you're aware, but in March 1945, very close to the end of the war, there were huge tank battles in Hungary, in the vicinity of Budapest, where the elite SS corps were fighting in the last doom battle over Hitler. This is exactly the story which is being told here, and it is told in pretty good details. By details, I mean not only the scale, but also the number of scenarios. In those final months of the war, Germany was still full of fight and believed Budapest to be the key to turning the tide. Also due to the reach to the oil fields in Romania. It was, of course, wrong hope and wrong assumption, but there were so many things which happened in this war which were based on the false assumptions that one does not discuss it anymore. What was going on there? Germany was devising a plan to relieve Budapest. They wanted to bring in SS Totenkopf and SS Viking Panzer divisions from Poland. They wanted to launch a surprise attack before the Soviets can close the ring on the Budapest. There were a couple of operations, Conrad 1, Conrad 2, Conrad 3, which actually were aimed at this. And it was really brutal and merciless battle, which really cost a lot of lives. In total, at the end, if I remember correctly the story, around 7 SS Panzer divisions were moved here to fight. Crazy, completely crazy. Let's see what we are getting in the box. 2 dice. Sorry, I always misspell it. The courtesy card. Now, what do we have here? I don't think this is from this game. I think this is for the other game. Yep, this is probably for another game. And again, we are getting here the Panzer Last Stand Battalion Combat Series rulebook and Battalion Combat Series rulebook for the whole series. And this rulebook for the whole series has 48 pages. And as you can see, there is some index. So if you get away with this, it's like 47, 48 pages. And you can see this is also the new standard of MMP. Much higher quality, colorful rulebook. And to this we are getting, of course, the rulebook for the actual game. There will be a lot of scenarios. Here they are. I told you this is a game which can be played with a lot of scenarios. Here they are, like 10 of them, and we'll be getting information how long they are. For example, let me go here. Operation Conrad 3 is a big scenario, but I believe the earlier one, Battle for Zamolai is small scenario. Operation Conrad 2 is also small scenario. So you can choose from here specific scenarios according to the time and to the space you have. Number of actual rules, is 7 pages, so it's also not overly complex, like 37 here and 7 here, which should take some time to familiarize with, but once you do, you can play all the game in a series pretty seamlessly. What you are getting also is Battalion Combat Series Soviet support book, series support book, of course. Yeah. So some additional information. Would be glad to read it. Then we have Axis player book. Oh, beautiful, the map. Axis order of arrival. Entry of 20 Panzer division. Good stuff. Then we have a Soviet player book. We have also some information about Soviet order of arrival and other stuff here. Then we have charts and tables for the Battalion Combat Series, similar to what we've seen in Operational Combat Series and Standard Combat Series, but a better quality paper. There are two, because we have, of course, 2 players. And then we have the turn record track. Depending how long we'll be playing, it can be from January up to March. It's also depending on the scenario. Here we have some additional cards, which I would need still to understand what they are for. And then we have tokens. Again, like with the Korea, the Forgotten War, first of all, we have standard BCS markers, which can be used with various games in the series. Yeah. And then we have counters for this battle. And I believe there will be pretty many of them. We see a lot of Soviets here. Again, some good storage solution is a must. And the Germans, of course. Not so many as with D-Day. It's like 4 counter sheets. And now we have maps. How many of them we have? D. So we have A, B, C, D, 4 maps. That will be a lot. Let's have a look at them. Okay, this is the first map. Map A. I would need a comma. Yeah, okay, it's here. I would need to look into the rulebook to see how you connect them. Yeah, in what order. I also believe that not all the scenarios use all 4 maps, only some of them. Okay, so this is the Lake Balaton. Here we have Conrad III Search, so the troops which are coming. Good to have such reference. Here we have map C. Let's also have a look. Oh, Budapest. You see, here is the Budapest, and here are the mountains to the west of it. A lot of battles will be here. And here we have a search 6 Guards Tank Army, yeah, which is coming here. And last but not least, the map D. Which looks mostly like an open terrain. No mountains, no hills, just a flat Hungarian lowlands. So we have 4 maps, pretty decent number of tokens. Some of a reference sheet turn references. Here special Soviet and Axis player books. 3 rule books, you can say 2 rule books and 1 supplementary. Okay, and that's all what you're getting in the Panzer Last Stand. So the 5th game which I got from the Multiman Publishing on their sale. really interested to put this to the table. I played actually in some Polish, let's say, published game with operations Conrad 1, 2, 3. I would like to see how it will be depicted here. So guys, these are my trophies from the Multiman publishing sale. A lot of good stuff, hopefully a lot of hours of great play in front of me. I'm really glad that I took advantage, you can say, from the sale. Definitely I will start with Angola. This is my #1 on the list. And then probably first with a standard combat series. So Hates of Courage, you would be the second one. Out of those three, we shall see. Probably the theme would be a driving factor, which will hit the table first. I would like to thank MMP for creating this sale. It really helps us wargamers to get a really good and quality content from our favorite publishers. And of course, our wallets are getting lighter and lighter. That's also true. Thank you guys for being with me today. If you like this video, please give thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content like this, kindly plus subscribe. There should be a button to subscribe at the end of the video. That's all from me for today. Thank you for being with me, and see you in another video, another unboxing, session report, strategy, whatever will be need for. Thanks and bye.